That is when you start actually living. Opportunities for jobs and businesses come up. That is when women will pay attention. That is when family will look up to you. If you clicked on this video, it's because you are like most guys in their 20s and 30s. You're lost. You identify as lost. You feel like you have no direction. And that is your fault. I'm not going to beat around the bush and sugarcoat this for you. It is your fault. The burden of performance is on you, on all men. You are lost because you did not have the wherewithal to understand that your 20s and 30s are for building your future. Instead, you partied or played video games or just jacked off at home and didn't really do the work that is required to become a man. So, yes, it is clear that we have an epidemic of men, of young men that are lost, but I am here to ask a question no one is really addressing online is why and how to fix the problem. And in a society when guys are growing up without a father, in fatherless homes, in single mother households, this is a huge problem because direction for a young man usually comes from being exposed to other men that have direction. But if you're not exposed to strong, masculine, goal-oriented men, you are going to be lost. And that's where we are today. And how do I know this? Because I was actually raised by a single mother. I was fortunate enough to have a masculine father that had enough presence to have enough influence, even if it's via the phone, because he lives currently still in another country. So I am very familiar with that void that comes from being raised in a single mother household. And I really do think that that is one of the biggest reasons why we are in this situation right now, where guys are just absolutely lost. They have no idea what to do in life, and they don't know how to fix it. And the worst part of it all is that some of these guys that are lost, confused, the worst part is that they're actually also entitled, which makes absolutely no sense. They demand of society, they demand of others, they demand of women that which they themselves don't contribute. They themselves don't have the attributes. They themselves don't contribute to society, but yet they are entitled to receive welfare from the government, a good job from employers, a raise from the current employer, a beautiful woman from the dating market. How are you going to be entitled when you are lost, you have no direction, and you have, most importantly, no purpose? That is the solution to the problem, and we're going to go into depth here on how to get your purpose in order to find direction. And listen, a lot of guys are on the right path. If you're watching this video, you are on the right path. You're looking to self-improve. Great, that's the starting point. Some of you might be even going to the gym. That is the bare minimum. You're not doing enough. The gym is just not enough. There's more to life than lifting the weights. It is a great starting point. It is the best place to start on your self-development journey. You're doing the right thing, but it's not enough. All right, so let's get right into this, okay? This is going to be important. Take notes. You need to self-assess. You need to understand where you stand in society, in your community, in your family, in your timeline of life as well. You need to know where you stand. That is the clarity that's going to give you the starting point to having a purpose. And I'm going to give you a very simple example of why I think men are lost. Why do they not have a purpose? And how that is affecting how they live their day-to-day. I'll give you an example of one of my clients. Jobless, childless, womanless, directionless, no purpose. Mind you, I said jobless. The other day we actually met up, because he is local, to go over his progress. He showed up with a plastic cup with an ice cold brew coffee from a drive-through place near my house. As soon as I saw the label, I recognized it. It's one of those very small coffee shops that you can't even walk into. It's only a drive-through only. So as soon as I saw that, I asked him, buddy, it's 11 a.m. and you went to this coffee place, instead of making the coffee at home, which he lives with his mother has coffee because I visited his home. And I told him, you're jobless. Why are you spending $5, $7, $8 on this coffee where you could have just made it at home? And to make matters worse, and here's where we go back to purpose and we go back to guys being lost. Understand this concept. If you're going to get a coffee and you are going to spend $5, $6, $7, $8 on this, why would you go through the drive-thru? You are jobless, childless, womanless. You're trying to figure things out. You're lost. You need purpose. I'm going to give you some advice. Instead, go to the nice coffee shop that you can actually go inside and converse with people. You can actually put yourself in a position for opportunities, business, with dating. You can meet a girl there. You can practice your communication skills while you're there. You can create a bond with your local coffee shop instead of the drive-thru. You're doing things for convenience and not for purpose. If your purpose is to meet a beautiful woman, my client's in his late 30s, which he does want children. So if your goal is to have children, you need to meet the right person, the right woman. And that's going to take time. And you're going to have to go through a series of opportunities and dating scenarios in order to even figure out what it is that you need in a woman. If you've been casually dating for the last 20 years, you don't really know what attributes you need to be looking for in a woman that's going to birth your children. So these little opportunities, this might sound crazy, but just grabbing that coffee when you have no money and when you have no purpose is absolutely ridiculous. And that goes to show the level of delusion and how lost these young men are. I make my own coffee. I rarely buy coffee. But my purpose is completely different. I am building a business, building my future, my financial future. I already have children. I have no issues with women. I am working on my communication skills, but I'm doing that in a different way. I've been to the coffee shops, and it actually works. I've met dozens of women at coffee shops. I've practiced my communication skills at coffee shops. The way you order a coffee in person when there's a line behind you is actually very important. Are you confident? Can you converse with the female worker, with the barista? Can you make her smile? Can you make her laugh? Can you make people around you comfortable? Can you cause intrigue in them? These are things you need to work on a daily basis, and going through the drive-thru does not help. This is just a minor and kind of a stupid example, but I thought I'd share it with you because it's the little things, the things that you do on a daily basis that are going to get you to the right place. But if you have no purpose, you have no reason to really go through this process of picking up your coffee inside instead of in the drive-thru, or dressing a certain way, or going to certain events, or not going out, or going out, or whatever it may be. If you have no purpose, you have no direction. And then going back to being entitled. A lot of guys that I talk to feel entitled to a beautiful woman, as if they themselves provide enough value to attract a beautiful, good woman. Because they do exist, by the way. A lot of men complain that there are no good women out there. It's because they're looking in the wrong place. And when you are drifting through life without a purpose, without goals, you're not going to get attention from the right women. You're going to get attention from the women that are also directionless, purposeless. Maybe they themselves don't have children and don't even want children. So you must have purpose in order to align with the right people. And also, how the fuck are you complaining about women when you yourself are jobless, directionless? You have nothing going for yourself. And now that we're on the subject, do you know why? Do you know why you're struggling with women? It's because you have low self-esteem. And low self-esteem and depression and all those things, they actually stem from not having a purpose, from being directionless. And I'm going to tell you why. Because the burden of performance is on men. And until you accept that, You're going to struggle through life as a man. Yes, you've started your self-improvement journey, but until you actually understand how much of a burden you have on yourself right now, how much of a burden is put on you by society, until you kind of accept that, you won't really know how much work to do. You won't really know how much money to make. You won't really know how many women you need to attract, because you have to understand, in order for you to retire comfortably in the future, you need to make a lot of money and you need to make good decisions. In order for you to attract a beautiful woman that's a good woman, that's going to give you the children that you want and not leave you at the end of the day, not divorce you and leave you, you're going to have to date a lot of women. You're going to have to vet them out. It takes time. So you should have some urgency. Okay? And once you understand this, you can actually start working towards improving your self-esteem. And the way you do that is through putting in the hard work. Your mind and your body, you must challenge them. You must work diligently. And if you are kind of feeling down and depressed and anxious, and you have low self-esteem, it's okay. That is your body. That is your mind telling you that you're not doing enough. It's telling you that you are a lazy piece of shit. And the way that it tells you is through a chemical response. Those chemicals will flow through your body and make you depressed, make you feel anxious, make you feel like you're nothing. But since the burden of performance is on you as a man, and you are kind of now starting to understand that, you're going to take these emotions, these feelings, these chemicals that are in your body and turn them into something positive, into purpose. You need to establish that purpose. What is your purpose? And that purpose should be to provide enough value in the world, to society, to be able to then command of said society, of our world, the things that you want. They don't just happen magically. You must provide the value up front. It takes time. And that's why you feel like a piece of shit right now. You have low self-esteem. It's because you haven't provided that value. Okay? You are not doing enough. And yes, this should be a wake-up call to most of you guys. Watch this video where I break down how most guys live their life. They don't do enough. They'll do one or two things every single day. That's not enough. Yes, you go to the gym. Yes, you meditate. Yes, you take a cold shower, but that's the bare minimum. Now that you're on this path of self-improvement, you need to do way more. You're competing with guys that are way more competent, more efficient, more productive, stronger, better, taller, richer. You're competing with the top of the top. You're competing with a whole new subsection of society. You're no longer competing with the bottom of the barrel, with the losers. You are now competing with men who strive for more, men that have purpose and direction. And therefore, they have very high self-esteem and are extremely confident. So how do we solve this issue? How do you become more confident? How do you have purpose? It's all going to start with clarity. If you've watched some of my older videos, you'll know that I have a framework for this. It's called CCPE. C for clarity, the second C is for capacity, P is for plan, and E is for execution. And the way it works is you must have clarity. You must go through a self-assessment process. You must ask yourself the right questions to understand where you've come from, where did you fuck up, and where do you stand right now. Once you understand that, you can go into your capacity. This is where you understand what your skills are and what skills you need to obtain. You can go back and see the full video on the CCPE in the channel a couple months ago if you want more information on that. Okay? But basically, what are you capable of and what are you not capable of? Once you understand those things, you can create a plan to improve yourself. Once you have that plan, you have a purpose. And guess what? Here's the magic of all this. This is probably what this whole video is really all about. If you're lost, this is going to change everything. Once you have that plan and you move on to letter E of the CCPE, and you start executing on that plan on a day-to-day basis, day in, day out. You have your routine, you have your goals, you have a purpose. When you're executing, I'm getting chills, that is when life actually starts to happen for you. That is when you start actually living. Opportunities for jobs and businesses come up. That is when women will pay attention. That is when family will look up to you. As you are executing on your plan, you are now showing the world that you have direction, you have purpose, that you're no longer lost. That is what we're striving for. I want to get you guys from here, not to here, okay? There's a progression, but we want to go from here to here. We want to go from the bottom of the barrel, lost, low self-esteem, no direction, no purpose. I want you to reset your life so you can get to this baseline, what I call the bare minimum. If you can get to the bare minimum, which is self-improvement, just starting your self-improvement journey. If I can get 1,000 guys out there to this line in 2026, I have completed my goals. I have direction. I have a purpose. That is my purpose. It's on my whiteboard to get 1,000 guys to reset their lives and get them on a self-improvement journey that will propel them, that will give them direction and purpose. I want to do that in 2026. 1,000 guys. I hope this really does help. I think I might have been all over the place because I have a lot of emotions running through my body right now. I have a lot of chemicals. My body is telling me that I have the information that can help a lot of guys. Of course, it is up to me to improve myself, the way that I share this information with you guys. That's on me. I'm working on that day in and day out. I want you guys to have that for yourself. Create that CCPE framework for yourself. Clarity, capacity, plan, and execution. Take the time to go through that process. I am here to help you with that. If you want that clarity, CCPE, clarity, you can grab the free chapter from my Mindset Reset workbook. The first chapter is a self-assessment chapter. It's got all the questions. It's only like 3 or 4 pages. It's got a worksheet you can print out, and you can go through that process and get that clarity. Once you have that, you have some semblance of direction. You know that now you have to explore your skills and what you're capable of. And just by taking those first 2 steps, you're going to be ahead of most men. Most men don't even know where they stand. They don't even know what led them to where they are now. They have not taken accountability for their past. It is important that you take accountability. That's why my program is called Time to Grow. Growth through accountability. So if you already started on your self-improvement journey, which obviously you did because you're watching this video, I want to encourage you, listen up, I want to encourage you to make yourself the purpose. That purpose the camera totally ran out of battery. My apologies. Listen, I gotta run. Okay, I want this moment right here to be the most important moment of your week. This is the most important video that you will see this week, by far. And I want you to understand this takeaway, that there's no better life. There's no better way to live life than to put yourself, put your mind, your body, your future at the forefront of everything that you do. Make yourself the actual purpose. That's what self-improvement is. You are prioritizing yourself, your future. And that's the way it should be. I hate to say it, but you need to be selfish. Let's wrap this up by understanding that the purpose that you've been seeking is really within. The purpose is basically to work on yourself. And once you decide that you're willing to take on that challenge, that is when life actually becomes a life worth living. All right, guys, I hope this video was valuable for you. And if you are serious about self-improvement and you want to go to the next level and not just consume these videos, which are helpful, I know they are, because they help me. The videos that I watched helped me quite a bit. But it wasn't until I took the next step of actually taking action that I saw the real improvement in my life. So go ahead and check out the links in the description if you're serious about self-improvement. Grab the free stuff and then move on to the workbook. The workbook is really where the magic happens. But you can start off with some of the worksheets that are free. Peace. Starving.